Hey y'all, welcome to another Elkins Travel Adventure. This adventure is actually with my gifted and talented class on a field trip to Boston and Salem. So we flew to Boston for our field trip, and our first stop is going to be Salem. This was so exciting because we met at 4 a.m. in the morning in Birmingham Airport and flew to Boston. And many of our students had never flown before, so this was really fun to see their excitement and their fun faces. We had a nice flight and some beautiful views at our window as we were landing. After we made it to the House of Seven Gables, we enjoyed beautiful water views from this colonial revival garden area. The House of Seven Gables is best known as the setting of Nathaniel Hawthorne's 1851 novel, but it's so much more. There is so much history here at this seaside house. It is a nonprofit museum and is an active settlement house with programs for local immigrant communities, including ESL and citizenship classes. I just really loved the philanthropist history behind this house and this location. Now, as we were walking through, we couldn't take video on the inside, but we could take some pictures of the different rooms. And we had a great tour guide that told us how the people lived during this time period. The weather was perfect, so we enjoyed a nice walk down to some shopping areas and then visited the Witch Dungeons Museum. There was a live reenactment of the 1692 Salem witch trial, plus a tour of a replica of the dungeons. After dinner downtown, we enjoyed a ghost tour throughout the city. So we looked at some different buildings, and our tour guide was really neat about explaining some interesting phenomena around the city. The next day was my favorite thing we did, the Boston Tea Party reenactment.
Fire out for French atrocious finally returned, sir. The governor's word is in. It seems that the governor is willing to grant anything consistent with the laws and his duty to the king, but orders that the vessels cannot leave unless the cargo is unloaded as the law demands. Now, what say you all to this? There you have it. Our governor refuses to send the tea back to England. The time has come for you, the people of Boston, to decide what to do. Therefore, I turn to you, Mr. Coffington.
Me?
Yes, you did a fantastic job at leading this meeting. What do you think we should do with the tea?
I
going to ask me, I think it's really rather simple. I think salt water and tea should mix this night. But what say all of you? All those in favor of destroying the king's tea, say aye! Aye! Any opposed? None. Moving on. We have a mighty mob on there. But let me warn you, if you destroy this tea, you may be subject to arrest. Our families and those who harbor us will be subject to the fullest penalties of the law if we are caught. Therefore, we should do our very best to conceal our identities this night. How should we disguise ourselves? Never fear, simple cloaks or blankets will suffice. But let us also use a symbol known to all the colonies, our unique symbol for North America. Make sure you all watch your step as you board the vessel.
Wonderful! Well, let's not delay. Patriots, the governor has requested that we unload this tea, and I say we oblige him. On my count, patriots, please throw the detested weed overboard. 3, 2, 1!
Huzzah!
My goodness.
All right, huzzah!
Smile. Smile and say tea. Tea!
This property had a full-scale replica of the 18th century sailing vessel, and we were able to try some tea and a nice museum. Then we headed to downtown to see so much more history and beautiful buildings around the city.
But we still call it the New State House. The coolest part for me of this building is it's built on the land that was once owned and occupied by John Hancock. Does everyone know who John Hancock was? Is there anyone who doesn't?
We enjoyed a walkthrough of Paul Revere's house and some of the history of that night in 1775 and how Revere received instructions from Dr. Joseph Warren to ride to Lexington. So lots of history. Then of course we enjoyed some delicious Italian pastries as well. That was one of my favorite things too.
Look at that.
Look at that. Just across the street from Mike's Pastry was Cafe Amaro, and they had the best chicken marsala I've ever had and some delicious lobster. It was such a nice lunch. To go back in history and actually be at the location where they hung the 2 lanterns to signal that the British were coming by sea was just unreal. So this church is still standing. They were actually doing some renovations, and you could walk around and see the boxes that different famous people had sat in. So it was very interesting to see all of this. We were going to tour the USS Constitution, but that week they had changed their hours to their winter hours, so we were a few minutes late and didn't get to go in and view it. So the next day we were at Lexington and Concord. If you know history, you know that this is where British soldiers clashed with the American soldiers in this small town. And essentially, this is sparking the War of the American Independence.
Pretty much the way this all went down is in April of 1775, the British discovered the colonists had all these weapons stashed over in Concord. Concord's about 5 miles away where they ended up going. So they were on their way there anyway. And John Hancock and Samuel Adams were now wanted for treason. They were hiding out down here. We're going to take a walk down and see where they were hiding out.
The Minuteman over here in the corner, and we'll give you an idea how, what it looks like now.
Changed a little bit, but it's fairly unchanged from that same night.
So this is the house that John Hancock and Samuel Adams were hiding at when Paul Revere came to tell them.
So at the time, the water was a lot higher. So the British would leave a detachment of about 60 guys on this side of the bridge to watch the bridge while the rest of them went on to John Barrett's farm. Now the colonists, the militia, had started gathering. It's a little hard to see, but it was up on top of the hill there. They had started gathering up there. When the British first got here, there were probably 8 or 10, literally, militia guys up there. But as the day went on and the folks had gone on to John Barrett's farm, which is about a mile away, people from all over, Paul Revere had sounded the alarm, as you're aware, and throughout the day, people started showing up from all different towns. So after a couple of hours, it went from about 8 or 10 guys up there. Suddenly there were about 400 of them up there, and they were hanging out up there. They were wondering what they should do.
We did a quick drive by Harvard University, and the regatta was happening, which is an annual rowing race.
I was asking them, can you see them, guys? Can you see them?
Yes.
This part of it right here. Here we go.
Right as we come out, guys, gonna be on your right
There
here.
we go.
There we go. There's Fenway Park.
See, there's tours going on right now.
Market has lots of food and vendors and some delicious chowder. So this area is America's oldest park, founded in 1634, and this is where the colonial militia mustered for the Revolution. Such a beautiful park. This is the most photographed street in Beacon Hill. Really cool cobblestone area. Federal style and Victorian brick row houses, and there's still antique lanterns outside. It was just really pretty.
This is 52.
This is the top floor, floor 52.
Below are 2 more floors, and the lowest floor, level 15, has the exit. If you would like to go down a floor, there are staircases on that side. So enjoy the view, have fun, enjoy.
Thank you.
The views in the Boston Observatory were just amazing, and you could see all of the city. This dinner at Fire and Ice was really cool, where you picked all the things you wanted and they put it on this big grill and they cooked it for you right in front of you. This was a really neat place too, showing us how they would make flour from these grist mills.
Powered mills like that back in England. And when they got over here, they were like, oh, we're so busy building houses, we can't build a big mill. So we're going to have to use human power to grind corn. So they started out doing it like the Wampanoag people did, in a mortar with a pestle. So you just literally smash it. So that's one way of doing it. Another way is with little mini millstones. But instead of the top stone turning by water power, it turns with people power. And then what they will do after that, now this isn't ground up very much.
It's going to be hooked up on the same axle as this big gear, our base gear. Since the base gear and the water wheel are going to be hooked up on the same axle, they're both going to move.
That's the best name in the whole world. Do you spell it the same way?
No, it's a Y instead of an E.
Oh, nice. That's more fancy than guys.
There was a reproduction of the 17th century ship Mayflower, celebrated for transporting the Pilgrims to the New World in 1620. don't forget to stop by and look at the Plymouth Rock. Our last stop was the Plymouth Village, and this was a 17th century village showing how the Pilgrims would have lived in that time period. This was a jam-packed couple of days to see lots of great history, and I can't wait for our next adventure. What's the ETA to your next adventure?